Quinn calls just before noon. His voice sounds half angry, half amused. You got the message too, right? He asks. I let out a dry laugh. Yeah, Lynn's family only. So it's not just you, he adds. They cut almost everyone. 18 people erased from the list in one text. I picture my parents at their long, polished table. Every plate shining, every seat perfectly arranged. And one missing, the one meant for me. The thought lands heavier than I expect. I walk to the window, the city below sharp and alive. Cars flash like veins of light against the gray street. I used to think success would change everything. That money, awards, and my company's name meant I mattered. But recognition doesn't fill the silence at dinner tables. I still remember when the difference began. Lynn got a bike for her 10th birthday. I got a set of books and a polite nod. Books last longer, Mom said, like that made it equal. At 15, I won a national science prize. Dad forgot to mention it at his office party. He bragged about Lynn's dance recital instead. I told myself it didn't matter. I studied harder, stayed up later, smiled smaller. By college, I stopped waiting for their approval. When I got into MIT, I ran to tell them. Dad didn't even look up from the newspaper. Computer science, he asked. Not much future for girls. Mom nodded softly, like she agreed. I laughed then, pretending it was fine. But that night, I cried alone in the dorm kitchen. The walls smelled like burnt coffee and cheap detergent. It's funny what you remember when you start remembering. The holidays, the photos, the constant feeling of being cropped out. Always on the edge of the frame. Always told to be grateful for being included at all. Even when they forgot my birthday, I made excuses. They were busy. They didn't mean to. That's what love is, right? Giving benefit of the doubt. But the truth seeps in, no matter how hard you resist it. Being second choice becomes a habit. You learn to make yourself smaller, so no one feels guilty. Quinn sighs through the phone. We're thinking of doing something. Like what? I ask, though I already know the answer. Grandma's house, small space, big heart. I can hear laughter in the background. He's not alone. They're already gathering, even without the invitation. I envy that. The ease of belonging. I whisper, maybe I'll come. But I don't mean it. I'm tired of sitting at tables where I don't fit. I hang up and stare at the skyline. The afternoon sun cuts through the glass, blinding for a second. In that glare, I see a version of myself I almost recognize. Not the daughter waiting for approval. Not the woman hiding behind success. Someone else. Someone who could build something new. The thought scares me and steadies me all at once. The world outside doesn't change. But maybe, finally, I will. The phone rings again that night. Grandma's name glows softly on the screen. I almost don't answer, afraid of the tenderness in her voice. When I finally do, she skips the small talk. I heard what they did, sweetheart. Her words land, heavier than anger ever could. It's fine, I lie automatically. It's not fine, she snaps, her age giving her honesty. They've forgotten what family means, but you haven't. I close my eyes, pressing my palm to the counter. The silence between us hums with everything unsaid. She exhales slowly, a tremor in her voice. Do something different this year. Don't let them decide your worth. Her words spark something electric inside me. I stare at the glass walls around my apartment. Everything perfect, everything cold. The idea arrives without warning. Sharp, whole, possible. Grandma, I say quietly, what if I host my own Thanksgiving? There's a pause, then a soft laugh. That's my girl, make it grand, make it kind. After we hang up, I stand still for a long time. The city hums like a heartbeat. For the first time in years, I feel movement inside myself. I grab my laptop and scroll through contacts. Chef Adrian's name appears halfway down the list. My fingers hover, then press call. Miss Nguyen, he answers, his voice calm, professional. I'd like to host a dinner for 30 people, next week. A short silence. That's ambitious, he says, but not impossible. I nod, though he can't see me. It has to feel like home, I tell him, even if it's borrowed. We discuss menus, warmth, light, memory. When I hang up, the decision feels carved in stone. I start making lists, one after another. Guests, rooms, music, flowers. Names of people long ignored suddenly fill the page. Uncles, cousins, friends who became family when blood failed. Each name feels like reclamation. By midnight, my desk is covered in scribbled notes. I picture the long dining table in my Delat house, the one I bought but never used. White columns, quiet hills, space for everyone. The vision sharpens with every detail. Candles instead of chandeliers. Handwritten cards instead of printed menus. Laughter instead of polite smiles. It isn't revenge. It's reclamation. A way to prove that being excluded doesn't mean being alone. I send the invitations before dawn. Simple words. Dinner next Thursday, everyone welcome. The replies arrive faster than I expect. Count us in. Finally, a real family gathering. Even Grandma texts back with 3 heart emojis. I laugh into the morning light. The exhaustion in my chest starts to shift into excitement. I call my assistant to arrange transport for the elders. I order extra blankets and candles. I tell the caretaker to check the fireplace and generator. Every instruction feels like a heartbeat. Every detail like a step forward. When the last message is sent, I stand by the window again. The first light of dawn spills over the skyline. This year, they closed one door. But I just opened a bigger one. The wind howls through the pine trees as the first car pulls up. Headlights cut through the fog, glowing like small promises. I open the front door, warmth spilling into the cold. Welcome, I say, though my voice trembles slightly. Cousin Mai steps in first, cheeks red from the chill. Wow, she whispers, looking around. This place is magic. Behind her, laughter echoes from the driveway. Children run past me, dragging snow in with their boots. For once, I don't mind the mess. Chef Adrian greets guests in the kitchen, calm and composed. The smell of roasted garlic and herbs fills the air. Soon the house hums with conversation and footsteps. The sound feels alive, like the house itself is breathing. I set place cards on the long table one by one. Each name means something. Each seat tells a story. Grandma arrives last, her silver hair dusted with snow. Good heavens, child, she laughs. You actually did it. I hug her tighter than I mean to. For a second, I'm a little girl again, safe and seen. The storm outside grows stronger. Rain turns to sleet, sleet to snow. Windows rattle, wind shrieks against the walls. Someone jokes that nature wants to join the party. Dinner begins with soft music and the clink of glasses. The lights flicker once, twice, then die completely. Darkness folds over us like a heavy curtain. A gasp ripples through the room. Chef Adrian's voice cuts, steady through the dark. Stay seated, the generator will start. But it doesn't. Seconds stretch into minutes. Then, from somewhere at the far end, Grandma begins to hum. A slow tune, familiar and fragile. One by one, voices join her. The melody grows, low and steady, wrapping around the room. Someone turns on a phone flashlight. A halo of light reveals faces shining with warmth. Cousins pass candles from hand to hand. Tiny flames bloom like stars across the table. The song turns into laughter, then quiet joy. In the soft glow, I look around and realize something. No one here cares about perfection. No one is performing. This is real. The kind of moment I used to think existed only in movies. Aunt Hoa pours wine for everyone. Uncle Tuan makes a toast, voice shaking with emotion. To new traditions, he says, and to those brave enough to start them. Glasses rise. The clinking sounds like applause. The storm rages harder, but we barely hear it. There's too much warmth in the room to let the cold in. When the generator finally hums to life, the lights return. For a heartbeat, no one moves. No one wants to break the spell. I catch Grandma's eyes across the table. She smiles knowingly, the candlelight dancing in her wrinkles. This, she whispers, is family. I nod, feeling the truth settle in my bones. I may have lost my place at their table. But tonight, I built one that finally feels like home. Morning light filters through the curtains, soft and gold. The storm has passed, leaving the world clean and white. I wake to the smell of coffee and the murmur of voices. Downstairs, laughter mixes with the clatter of breakfast plates. Children chase each other across the polished floor. Someone's dog barks, delighted to be included. For a moment, I just stand there watching. Every sound feels like proof that I did something right. My phone buzzes on the counter. A dozen notifications blink in rhythm. Photos, tags, messages. Cousin Mai has posted a gallery from last night. Candles glowing. People smiling through the dark. The caption reads, "The real family dinner." I scroll slowly, the images tugging at my heart. The dining room looks alive, golden, endless. Faces shine brighter than any chandelier ever could. Within an hour, the posts start spreading. Old classmates comment. Neighbors from my hometown react with surprise. Someone writes, "Didn't her parents host Thanksgiving this year?" Another asks, "Why weren't they there?" I freeze, realizing what's happening. Two stories colliding in public view. My perfect sisters gathering versus mine. 7 people versus 32. Silence versus song. My stomach knots. The phone rings again and again. Mom's name flashes across the screen. I don't answer. Then Dad's voice fills my voicemail. "Brianna," he pauses, breath short, "you're making us look bad." The irony almost makes me laugh. I delete the message halfway through. Another call comes from Lynn's husband. He sounds uneasy. "Hey, I think I accidentally tagged your parents in a comment." My pulse quickens. "What comment?" "The one where I said your dinner looked amazing." I close my eyes, exhaling slowly. Too late to undo it now. By noon, the photos have gone viral in our community circles. People compare the two gatherings side by side. Mine full, theirs empty. One caption reads, "Maybe love skips generations." The words sting, even though they're true. When Grandma sees the post, she laughs softly. "Well," she says, "looks like the truth finally has good lighting." The phone buzzes again, relentless. This time I answer. Mom's voice trembles between anger and embarrassment. "How could you humiliate us like this?" I stay calm. "I didn't humiliate anyone, Mom. I just invited family." "You're showing off," she spits. "All this excess." I look around at the plates still stacked from breakfast. At the blankets folded neatly by the fire. "This isn't excess," I whisper. "It's inclusion." Her silence stretches long and sharp. Dad cuts in, his tone stiff. "We'll talk about this properly, face to face." "Fine," I say, "but this time I get to speak too." When I hang up, my hands stop shaking. Outside, sunlight hits the snow like broken glass. The world feels fragile and clear. They tried to make me small. Instead, they made me visible. And the whole world finally saw the difference. They arrive 3 days later, unannounced but expected. The doorbell rings just after sunset. Through the frosted glass, I see 2 familiar silhouettes. Mom clutching something close to her chest. Dad standing rigid beside her, his jaw set. I open the door before I can change my mind. "Come in," I say, my voice steady but cool. Mom steps inside, eyes darting across the room. This is beautiful, she murmurs. You've done well for yourself. It sounds more like surprise than praise. Dad nods awkwardly, avoiding my gaze. They sit on the couch, perched like guests, not parents. Mom places a worn photo album on the table. We found some old pictures, she says softly. I recognize the one on top instantly. Lynn blowing out birthday candles. Me at the edge, half cropped, half forgotten. The familiar ache returns, but feels lighter this time. I open the first page slowly. Do you remember this? She asks, forcing a smile. Yes, I reply. That was the year you forgot mine. Her smile falters. Dad clears his throat. We didn't mean to. I interrupt gently. But you did. Silence folds over us, thick and heavy. I stand and walk to the cabinet by the wall. When I return, I carry a small gray box. The label reads simply, Proof. What's that? Dad asks, suspicion in his tone. Documentation, I answer, of what you don't remember. I place each item on the table, one by one. My college acceptance letter. A pay stub from my first job. Loan statements, declined applications, every no I survived. I speak quietly, without anger. You said you couldn't afford my tuition. 6 months later, you refinanced the house for Lynn's wedding. Mom's face pales. We thought you'd manage, she whispers. I did, I say, but not because you helped. The air hums with old pain resurfacing. My phone buzzes suddenly on the table. Lynn's name flashes on the screen. Without warning, I put it on speaker. Her voice trembles at first. Are they there with you? Yes, I say. She exhales, long and shaky. I've been thinking since the holiday, she says. All my life, I tried to be perfect so they'd notice me. But it never made them love you less. It only made me complicit. Mom gasps, hand covering her mouth. Dad stares at the floor, unable to speak. Then another knock at the door. I know who it is before I open it. Grandma stands there, wrapped in her old coat. I followed them, she says, stepping inside. Her eyes land on the table, the photos, the papers. Good, she says firmly. It's time they see. She faces my parents, her voice steady and full of steel. You've spent years breaking one daughter to praise another. Mom starts to cry, real tears this time. I didn't realize, she whispers. You do now, I answer softly. No shouting, no victory. Just truth hanging in the air, undeniable. For the first time, they listen. And for the first time, I don't need their permission to speak. A month later, the air smells like pine and cinnamon. Snow gathers softly along the windowsills. The house feels alive again, dressed for the holiday. This time, the invitation list includes everyone. No exclusions, no conditions. I move through the kitchen, arranging plates and glasses. Each sound echoes like a quiet heartbeat. The doorbell rings, steady and certain. Through the frosted glass, I see them, my family. Dad carries gifts, awkward but sincere. Mom holds a covered dish, still warm from the oven. Lynn follows with her husband and 3 excited kids. Their laughter fills the entryway before the door even opens. I take the dish from Mom's hands. Sweet potato casserole, she says softly. It was your favorite once. I smile. It still is. We walk to the dining room together. The table stretches long and bright beneath crystal light. But this time there's no head seat. Every chair forms part of a circle, equal and open. Grandma sits near the center, beaming with quiet pride. When everyone settles, Dad stands, clearing his throat. I'd like to say something before we eat, he begins. His voice trembles, but he continues. To learning from our mistakes, to second chances. Glasses rise, the sound like soft applause. The meal unfolds, with laughter and overlapping voices. Children spill juice. Uncles argue over football scores. It feels gloriously imperfect, human real. Later, I find myself beside Mom in the kitchen. She rolls up her sleeves without being asked. I never understood what you built, she admits. I just thought you were showing off. I hand her a dish towel. I wasn't showing off, I say. I was surviving. She nods, eyes shining with regret and pride. Thank you for letting us try again. Thank you for showing up, I whisper back. When we return to the dining room, the lights are dimmed. Candles flicker, their glow soft and forgiving. Chef Adrian insists everyone, staff included, sit and eat. Even the caretaker takes a seat near Grandma. No hierarchy, no pretense, just shared warmth. Dad pours wine into my glass. For our extraordinary daughter, he says quietly. The room falls silent, then fills with gentle cheers. I raise my glass but don't speak. Some words don't need sound to be heard. Lynn catches my eye across the table. She mouths, thank you. The children start a game near the tree, laughter echoing. Grandma leans back, her smile soft and sure. You did it, she murmurs. You built something whole. Outside, snow drifts slow against the window. Inside, the fire crackles, low in content. I look around the room, so many faces, so much life. The ache that used to define me has turned to peace. Family isn't about who invites you. It's about who stays when you open the door. And this time, every seat is full. The night grows quiet as the fire fades to embers. Snow falls steady outside, soft as forgiveness. I stand by the window, watching the lights reflect on glass. Behind me, laughter drifts from the living room. Someone strums a guitar, off-key but full of joy. The sound warms me more than the heat ever could. Mom sits beside Grandma, their heads close in quiet talk. Lynn's children build towers of cookies on the table. Dad dozes in his chair, a faint smile on his face. For years, I thought love meant earning a place. Now I know it means creating one. The girl who once waited to be invited is gone. In her place stands a woman who built her own table. Every scar has turned into something steady and strong. Every silence has taught me how to speak. I whisper to the room, though no one hears me. This is home, this is enough. Snow keeps falling, erasing old footprints outside. Inside, every heart has found its seat. And for the first time, the story ends in peace.